being global citizens actually entails this deep appreciation for the diversity and differences that we all have, and this is actually a source of strength. So this understanding means that to achieve an ever-advancing community of nations, that we really all have this role to contribute to the well-being of the whole, as was shown with the previous examples, particularly the app that Tatiana shared with us earlier. So in trying to understand the role of the importance of creating this global citizenry, we can actually see that leaders actually can have access to a well-educated, well-informed group of citizens who can collaborate on matters both large and small. And so when leaders have access to global citizens, they become more effective in fulfilling the promises that they've made in meeting the needs of their populations. And in thinking about this goal at the beginning, as leaders are coming together, one question that can really stimulate how can we achieve global citizenry is that to put at the center of our deliberations, how can we consciously embed the consideration of the well-being of all peoples in all deliberations? And this really can help us to create this idea of global citizens. And of course, when we think of the nations coming together, naturally we think of this body of the United Nations. And one of the questions that has been asked that we think about in this gathering today is how can the UN contribute to creating a world that works for all global citizens? And perhaps at the conceptual level, the role of the UN could be learning about how to formulate and leverage more effective frameworks for governance. So rather than having spaces where we have an adversarial or perhaps positional or advocacy driven approach, we can have a posture of learning. And this posture of learning can really allow for a collective exploration of conditions that allow for structures that foster an appreciation for the insights that can be made at all levels of human organization. And this example that Nikhil gave earlier of these women who are coming together to protest in India, I think gives us an understanding that really at each level of human organization, there's these insights that can be gained that can really create a storehouse of ideas that can inform policies at all levels of human organization. And so perhaps one of these conditions that can be created within the body of the UN is to allow for an evolution of a framework under which this continued learning of global citizenship can take place. And these insights can inform the policies that are being formulated at the global level. So we can start to see that by valuing and acting upon insights of all concerned citizens, this process can serve to build trust between not only individuals, but communities and institutions, which creates trust, which was touched upon earlier. And really this idea of trust is important because without it, we cannot implement the policies that are being formulated at different levels of human organization. And without this, we lack commitment and sustained effort in implementing these policies. So lastly, I would just like to touch on this idea of the SDGs and how they really are a symbol of a global effort that we're all arising and resolving to dedicate ourselves to efforts that really meet the challenges before humanity. And of course, they're lofty goals, and perhaps by 2030 we will not have achieved them, but they really demonstrate an emerging understanding that at the moment, the current arrangement that we have for the distribution of resources is not balanced. So in pursuing the SDGs, we can see the growth and evolution of our understanding as global citizens. And of course, at this juncture, we can see that as a group of individuals, and of course as a group of nations, our understanding of global citizenship has evolved from when we had the MDGs, which were targeting aid goals in developing countries. We have the SDGs where all nations, the role of all nations is recognized in creating this ever advancing civilization that we are all part of. So of course, we know that even in North American or in Western nations, where perhaps the economic situation is better than in other places, we also have vulnerable groups that have been skipped in this advancements, and that the role of each individual is quite important. So to wrap up my intervention, I would like to go back to an earlier point that I made earlier about global citizenship being about understanding the role that each individual, each community, and each nation has to contribute to the well-being of the whole. And really to ask us, how can our understanding of global citizenship can be advanced in contributing to the achievement of these lofty goals that we have ahead of us, knowing, of course, that 2030 is less than 10 years away from today. It's a big question to ask, of course, and hopefully in the breakout groups, we can explore this further. Thank you so much for the time to speak today.